Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. This is the 20th part of What If Deku Was Sanji's Reincarnation, my Heroes Reborn. The author of this great fanfic is Emma. I believe links to them and original story in the description. Chapter 20, Marriages. It was quiet. They knew it was a topic that shouldn't be avoided. After all, that was why they had the therapy. Alright, as usual, I want to get the ball rolling. I don't plan on using Yuzu as an example because, well, learning about that weird old lady thing was enough for one day, said Hibiki. Why do I get the feeling that he's hiding something? Thought everyone else. The true reason why involved some envy. Let's just say Liz Lemon, Yuzu's past life, lived a lot longer than Tony Stark. But still. Before we start, did any of you not get married? Asked Hibiki. There weren't any answers. Really, even you, Izuku? Asked Hibiki. Well, yeah, I did, said Izuku. I wasn't the only one. Luffy got married and so did our sniper Usopp. All our wives lived on board and joined with the crew. Mine helped with cooking. Kaya, Usopp's wife, helped in the sickbay, and Hancock, she was an famous pirate before she met Luffy. He was married too, thought Achiko. All right, sighed Hibiki, knowing he should get the ball rolling. Pepper was her name. She started out as my assistant, but eventually took over my company. We fell in love. It wasn't easy, there were plenty of hiccups, and we had a daughter. It was clear that Hibiki was hiding something. I don't know if I can tell you the rest yet, it's very personal, said Hibiki, but it wasn't divorce, that much I will tell you. The teens were quiet, quickly realizing that whatever it was had something to do with his daughter. So keep it as long as you want. If you want to go on, you can. Or you can keep it short like me, since there is a lot of pain here, said Hibiki. Which one of you want to go first? I'll go first, said Toru. My husband was a fellow party planner named Cheese Sandwich. Before he went to settle down, he went from town to town with his jokes and accordion, bringing joy to every pony. Sounds like Weird Al, joked Hibiki. You have no idea, said Toru. We even had a daughter together. She saw the looks on everyone's faces. After all, they were dealing with a super cute world of talking magic ponies. Procreation could be anything. Just out curiosity, how did you have a daughter? Said Hibiki, de-icing to be the one to ask, since he was the adult here. Toru sighed. Honestly, she should have saw this coming. We had sex, yelled Toru, getting annoyed. Just because it was a cutesy world filled with magic and friendship doesn't mean that babies come from the magic of friendship. Well, Twilight tried this one time, but that her trying to figure out a way for Dashi and Applejack to have a full together. But my point is, we had sex. We had pony sex. Okay. I'm going to have to end your turn, said Hibiki. The other four were blushing bright red. Too much information? Asked Toru. The four just nodded. Sorry, said Toru, taking out a plate of cupcakes. Hibiki gave them a few minutes to make sure they could talk again, and after the cupcakes calmed them down. All right, who wants to go next? Said Hibiki. I would, said Momo. Well, I don't have to give much of an introduction to my husband. It's Jalal, said everyone else in perfect unison. Was it that obvious? Asked Momo, blushing. Yeah, it was, sighed Toru. It's really sweet too that you did get married, said Achiko. It took a long time. You know, thanks to everything that happened, said Momo, but we got married and had 4 children. 4 children? Asked Achiko, surprised. Yeah, we loved each other a lot, said Momo, blushing, and also the second pregnancy was with twins, so I was only pregnant 3 times. But you still had 4 kids, said Mashireo. Yeah, said Momo. She then looked down at the floor. It wasn't happily ever though, said Momo. Something happened. I don't know if I'm ready to talk about it. I completely understand, said Hibiki. You probably realized there was something I was leaving out, so if you're ever ready to talk about it, tell us. Momo nodded. I'll go next, said Mashireo. Her name was Akari. We met in our teens and she fell in love with me after I beat her grandfather's best sumo pig. She actually loved my curse. I was surprised, because I never thought a girl would love my curse, but she did. However, he then noticed the look on the other's face, though it was hard to tell with Toru. Mashireo, did you ever? Said Izuku. Oh no. 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 Said Mashireo, we never experimented with my curse like that. The others did not buy it. I swear we didn't, said Mashireo. Okay. We are talking way too much about farm animal sex. Which is a sentence that should never be uttered ever, said Hibiki, interrupting the conversation. I'm sorry, said Mashireo. I'm sorry too, it's just that in hindsight, I really should have prepared for this, said Hibiki, considering one of you turned into a pig and the another was an actual talking pony. Did you have kids? Asked Achiko. We did, 3 boys, said Mashireo. They, got lost a lot. Thankfully my friends often helped out when they were really young. And once they were old enough to take care of themselves it was fine. And unlike both of my parents, Akari had a sense of direction. Wait, both of your parents lacked a sense of direction? Asked Izuku, slipping into Sanji mode. Yeah, sighed Mashireo, and GPS didn't exist when I was a teenager, or if it did it wasn't prevenient. Actually it did help when the kids got older, but before then I had to rely on my wife, Ranma and Yukio to help me. Just out of curiosity, why those two? Asked Achiko. Well, Ranma took me home a lot in middle school and I once ran a 3-legged obstacle course with Yukio, said Mashireo. Everyone gave him a look. You're going to have A to tell us that story, said Toru. I know, sighed Mashireo, but yeah, I had a wife who loved me and my problems and kids who inherited one of my problems. I'd like to go next, said Achiko. His name was Naruto. He was a ninja and eventually became the leader of our ninja village. Ever since we were children I admired him because of something he had no control over. Most of the village hated him. She wasn't sure if she told him it was because he had a monster fox sealed inside him that destroyed the village before she was born. Whenever he faced the odds he would always pull through them, and it was what inspired me to become stronger, said Achiko. Izuku looked at the way Achiko talked about her husband and wasn't sure how to feel about it. So did you have any kids? Asked Toru. 2, said Achiko, a boy and a girl. That's also why I retired early. Oh, said everyone, realizing that it made sense. I know, said Achiko, but being a ninja really wasn't my choice growing up. My family pretty much made me, so once I had children it was my choice to be a housewife. Considering a past session dealt with her talking about her emotionally distant father, it made sense. Those were the choices I made in my past life and I don't regret them. And I loved all of them very much, said Achiko. Izuku was quiet during this time. Hey Long John Silver. She's done, said Hibiki. Oh right, said Izuku, my wife was named Pudding. Hold on, said Hibiki, why are 3 of the names food? This made everyone sweat drop. Well, ponies just had names like that, said Toru. He was named after the hero of a book. Also, I'm pretty sure it was the other meaning, said Achiko. Her mother was obsessed with food, said Izuku. Wait, said Mashireo. No, her mother was one of Luffy's bigger pirate enemies, said Izuku. She ran away from home so we could get married. How did you meet? Asked Toru. It's a long story, I'm not comfortable telling you yet, said Izuku. All I will say, it involves them. They knew it meant his birth family. Her mother was a nightmare. And treat her and siblings extremely poorly as well. Honestly, I'm surprised that most of them stuck with her though. Only 3 of her older sisters ran away before she did. Maybe more of her siblings finally ditched her after I died though. Rule 4. Said Hibiki, unless you want to confess to having a Darwin Award level death. Sorry. Said Izuku, but her mother was extremely powerful pirate. And like I said, one of Luffy's biggest enemies. You're going on a lot about that. Said Hibiki, becoming concerned. Because we didn't have any kids. Said Izuku, because she was afraid. Afraid of what? Asked Hibiki. That she would end up like her own mother. Said Izuku, Pudding had so many mental health issues, she had something of a split personality. She got better through the years. But she was just worried that she would be a monster to her own children. Hachiko looked at Izuku, unsure how to react to all of this. The other couples had children though. Said Izuku, Luffy had a couple kids before, and Usopp and Kaya had a couple kids, also Robin and Frankie had a daughter. Wait, you didn't say they were married. Said Mashireo. They weren't, they were friends with benefits. Said Izuku, blushing. Wait, wasn't Frankie the cyborg? Asked Momo. They thought he was style because of that, turns out he was just infertile, they assumed he was sterile. Chopper yelled at the two of them for assuming that. Said Izuku, though to be fair, I think everyone on the ship would have assumed that about Frankie. Izuku coughed, knowing he should get back on topic about his own past life relationship. She was afraid. Her sisters tried to reassure her that it was fine, in fact one of them even had a kid, but she still didn't want any children. Said Izuku. It was clear with his tone of voice that in his past life he did want children. But I loved her, so I agreed with her. Said Izuku. He loved her that much? Thought Hachiko, even though it was clear he wanted them. Are you done? Said Hibiki. Izuku nodded. It will be a while until we talk about another heavy topic like this one. Said Hibiki, and if you want to bring up more about your spouses or children in the future you can. But next time should be a much lighter topic. Oh, I have an idea for next time. Said Toru. Sure, we'll go with it. Said Hibiki. He tapped Aiko's device 3 times. I'm back, Ak. Said Aiko, re-entering the device, so any juicy details? This just made the teen sweat drop. They said byes to Hibiki. Once they left the therapy room, both Izuku and Hachiko seemed to avoid eye contact. Oh, come on. Why is it awkward between you two? Said Toru. What, of course not, why would things be awkward between us? Said Izuku, I mean, sure we know. Before he could go on a mutter storm, Toru stuffed a cupcake in his mouth. Nothing changed really. Said Mashireo. Well, there are some changes, but we knew we had to learn these things to begin with. Said Momo. I guess you're right. Said Hachiko, trying to hide her real feelings about it. Yeah. Said Izuku once he was able to swallow the cupcake and doing the same thing. Come on, Deku. You want to go to the train station together? Said Hachiko. Yeah, sure. Said Izuku. Toru breathed a sigh of relief once they were gone. Well, that's one less thing I have to worry about. Said Toru. This made Mashireo and Momo sweat drop. Oh, come on, you guys don't see it. Said Toru. Wait. Said Momo, realizing what she meant. You know, probably wait a while before then. Said Toru, and I do have a couple friendship problems to worry about before then. Should you guys be heading home? Said Hibiki, looking at the 3. Oh, right. Said Toru, later. She ran off, leaving a small cloud. The other 2 soon followed, somewhat confused. Once they were out of earshot. Make sure you remember that those 2 might need extra counseling. Said Hibiki, just in case. Will do. Said Aiko. With that they learned more about each other's pasts, partially about their families. However, for Izuku and Hachiko there would be a small amount of awkwardness between them. Though they would try not to show it, but still they knew the other was married, and they weren't sure if the other was over their past life spouse. And who knew if the one would talk to the other about it? But there were other things to worry about at the moments, a lot of other things, like their next week. After all, it was a big week for their training. That will be it for this part. I hope everyone enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like and comment if you want part 21. If you want to hear more from me, subscribe. I hope to see you all in the next one.